So we're going to work on Crown, and the first thing we're going to do is compute the cost of the two jobs using traditional costing. So traditional costing uses just one cost driver, and here they tell us to use direct labor cost. So we need to get the rate, and the rate would be overhead divided by direct labor cost. So they don't give us the total, so we'll add these up ourselves. And we get $1.50. So our rate is $1.50 in overhead for every dollar of direct labor, or 150% of direct labor cost. Alright, so let's assign overhead then. So the direct labor cost times our overhead rate. There we go. So then the cost of the jobs is just the material, the labor, and the overhead added up. Okay, so there's requirement number 1. Alright, let's move to number 2. Now we're going to compute the cost using activity-based costing. That means we're going to get a rate for each of these 3 pools rather than a single rate for the total. And each pool is going to have a separate cost driver or separate allocation base. So purchasing is going to be computed based on orders. Receiving is going to be computed based on shipments received, and inspections are going to be based on inspections. And it's not too hard to align the cost driver with the pool that it's most associated with. So let me get the total for each of these activities so that I can create the rate. How did I do that? There we go, that's what I want. Alright, so let's create a rate for each pool. So I need the overhead in the numerator and the total activity in the denominator. And so I get a rate for each of these 3 pools. So now let's assign overhead to the jobs based on the 3 rates. So for purchasing, I'm going to charge job F2 $20 for each order. And for receiving, I'm going to charge them for each shipment received. And then for inspections, I'm going to charge them $10 for each of those inspections. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the other job. I'm going to charge them $20 for each of their orders and charge them $1.77 for each of their shipments. And I'm going to charge $10 for each inspection. And then I'm going to add that all up. And now I can compute the cost of the job using the new overhead that I've assigned. So here's the material and labor for the job, and now I'm going to add in the overhead that I computed based on activity-based costing, the 3 drivers, and not just the 1. So now the third question is, why did the jobs change? So job F12 went from $695 to $582. The cost dropped. But what happened to the cost of job S65? It went up. So when you were just using labor cost, they split the overhead evenly. But you can see over here that they don't use resources evenly at all. That S65 uses a lot more orders and a lot more shipments. Not a lot more inspections, but a lot more of these 2 things. So under activity-based costing, they get a greater proportion of the purchasing and receiving cost than they would if it was just all put into one pile and they just split it.